tell me something? What do you know about Wakanda? It's a third world country. Textiles, shepherds, cool outfits, all a front. Explorers have searched for it. Called it El Dorado. They looked for it in South America. But it was in Africa the whole time. I'm the only one who's seen it. And made it out alive. I can see you.
The world is changing. Soon, there will only be the conquered and the conquerors.
Step into the spotlight.
You are a good man.
Step into the spotlight.
With a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be a king.
Hey everyone, my name is Danny, and welcome to a special episode of Kessel Run Weekly. I have with me a guest today, Cheyenne. Say hi, Cheyenne.
Hi, everybody.
So Cheyenne, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a recent graduate from the University of Florida. I moved to Orlando, Florida, kind of on a whim. I was working at SeaWorld seasonally and got my job back. So I was able to come on as a full part-time employee over here at SeaWorld, and I just love the area because I'm a Disney annual pass holder and I can go to Disney whenever I want.
I'm jealous of that.
Yeah. So coming with all of this new stuff coming soon, I'm just pumped. And pass holders get early previews, so that just I see what the take. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So you get all the cool stuff in summation. So cool. And you're on, and we actually met on Instagram. So,
yeah. So I'm on Instagram as Jerrica Training Academy. It's kind of hard to spell, but it's Jerrica, and then there's periods in between each word, kind of like Jedi Training Academy.
Hey.
Not that I really need to explain it, but
we'll make sure to have all your social and all that kind of stuff up on the video in our show notes as well. But I asked Cheyenne to come on and do this special episode with me because we're both freaking excited about Black Panther. For those who are watching, if you can't tell, the little new design for our special episode. So I'm pumped.
awesome.
Yes.
Even the build up to it was insane to the point where you were like, I feel like I've already seen it, but there's not enough in it, so I have to go see it, and it's just all over the place.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and definitely. And so just to kind of preface this a little bit, so I know most of you, well, all of you, are used to are hearing us talk about Star Wars. So it's a little bit off the beaten path and everything. So, but you guys voted for it, so I'm very excited to talk to all of y'all about that. But I want to get kind of first impressions. Kind of get first impressions and everything of the movie. So Cheyenne, you want to start us off with first impressions?
Yeah. I guess, can I maybe even start with like the trailer's first impression and then after the movie? So like when I first saw the very first release trailer, I was pumped just from the music.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and watch it and like actually focus. And after I focused, I was like, there's way more to this than they're giving us. And obviously, I mean, like trailers do that for everything. So it wasn't a surprise, but it was more of, what am I missing? Like, why do I feel like I don't know anything at all about what's going on, but there's so much happening? And so after seeing it, all of it made sense. And so I very much, I went to see it with two of my friends. My friend looked at me in the theater and I was just staring at the screen with my mouth open for like a solid 5 minutes. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, there's just so much happening. It's awesome. And I just couldn't form a good thought.
I hear you.
A whole thought.
Mhm.
And so I think that was really, it was really just emotional, like not like cry your eyes out and like get all worked up about things. It was just happy and hardcore and
Mhm.
sad and intense. And I think that was just like my entire first impression was, how am I going to handle this and what's going to happen next?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want Ryan Coogler to, direct everything from now on. He needs to be in Star Wars ASAP for sure.
Yeah, just like even a little thing, just something filled with action, or
Mhm.
like let him like do a trailer and then give him something else, like anything at all. It was
Oh,
incredible.
definitely. And I'm right there with you. Like, from seeing the trailer now, I limited myself to just one trailer because I learned my lesson back and when Age of Ultron came out.
Mhm.
I was so pumped and I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch every single trailer, every single TV spot. And I pretty much saw the movie by the time I got there. And I was just kind of like, what? Really? So, Age of Ultron, like, even though it was good to me, it doesn't end up on my top at all because, like, I don't know, didn't have that feeling, you know? Like Guardians has been my number one out of all the Marvel movies. Love it. But yeah, and so with this one, like in all honesty, like the trailer had me, like you said, from the music. The music was what kept my attention really.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect. Like, I mean, obviously you have theory after theory of, oh yeah, well we're after Civil War, da 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 da. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like it was just, I love that cup, by the way.
Thank you.
That
I'm
was
like,
awesome.
do I drink it out of frame?
No, it's welcome. It's welcome. But, but yeah, but I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. Like, I mean, was it an origin story, all this other kind of stuff and everything? And I was blown away. I was like you with jaw drop the entire time. Like I was like, oh, that's that, and that's that, and that's that from that, and all this other kind of stuff. Like freaking out. Like it was just like it was awesome. And
Yeah.
if there was any emotion really to convey the whole thing, it's just happy, just pure happiness through the whole thing. Because like yeah, there were emotional parts that kind of hit you a little harder and everything like that. But like to me, the biggest thing that stood out in all of it was just like the family part of it.
Yeah.
The culture and everything. Because like I think it was the Challenge Day part where you have all of the different cultures and the different tribes there talking about that they're not going to challenge them, all this other kind of stuff. But like just the camaraderie and the family between them and everything. Like I was just smiling ear to ear the whole time. I was like, this is so cool. It's like I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts because of the music was so intense, and then it like pans up and I was like, whoa, like just in awe of that moment. Because and like I hate to, and you might like, I don't know if you want to cut this part out or not, but
No,
like
you're good.
I'm Jamaican Chinese, and
Oh,
so
okay.
a lot of the times I get the thing of like, but you're not black, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like I know, but also like I want to like immerse myself in that culture, and to just imagine like an audience member from that culture coming to see this movie and to see that moment where like you can see the difference, but they're all together and it's just like I'm getting emotional right now. Like it's
Yeah.
just so immersive, and for me to feel that way when I'm not even from that culture, I can't even imagine how they feel being
Right.
able to see that happen. And like just for us as fans of the story in general, to see it happen, it makes us emotional and like wanting to be there and like knowing how intense it is and knowing how like scared the characters or the actors should be in that moment, but we're all like really excited and happy about it.
Exactly.
He's about to get into a like brawl.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that was. All right. Well, yeah. Sorry. Now I've got my phone on silent. I apologize. But no, and that's really awesome because like that was what I felt the whole time too. And I mean I'm not from those cultures, but at the same time I wanted to be like that was what was cool about it. It was like I want to be there in the middle of that, having the. I mean, it seemed like they were having the time of their lives. I mean, it's a really important ceremony. I mean, the possible changing of kings. And I mean, it's, I mean, as you can see with the fight with M'Baku and everything, like, I mean, it's intense, but at the same time, it's like, we're family. And like, that's a whole theme throughout the whole thing is that we're family and everything. I love that. So that was my favorite part of the entire movie.
Yeah. I don't even know if I could pick a favorite part. I feel like I have to agree. Like at this point in the conversation, I have to agree.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
one of my favorite parts. Yeah, I was about
We're
to say
just
I'll think
scratching
of
the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm favoring throughout.
I did like Black Panther Batman kind of at the very beginning
Oh
with
my
with him coming out of the plane and everything. Like the whole
Yes.
time I'm sitting here going, "That's Batman. That's Batman."
I was like, what superheroes have done this before? And I thought about Cap, and I was like, Captain America's definitely flown out of a plane before. Like, that was great. And that for me, so that I think was the moment when the music really hit me during the trailer and the movie. Like, I was like, oh, this all makes sense. Like, this is what they put in the trailer because this is amazing. And it's such like a simple pull in. It wasn't like a super extensive mission or anything. It was just a quick and easy. But that music hits you so hard, and you're like, oh my god.
I felt the terror with the people he was coming after, especially when they pan on the dog and the dog's barking in the tree, and then all of a sudden you look up, there's this dude in black just looking down at you. He's like, I give up. Can I surrender now, please?
Like, what is
Yeah. I would just be like, I give up. I give up.
Everything down.
Yeah.
It's all.
But I love that whole opening sequence, especially the kind of back and forth between T'Challa and Okoye, I think is how you say her name. Yeah. You froze.
Yeah, exactly. That was my favorite. I was like, what does she mean? Like, don't freeze when you see him. And I was like, oh, when I realized that it was Lupita, which is what, Nakira?
Nakira, yeah.
Okay.
And I was real quick, I didn't even realize that was Lupita for the longest time. Looking at it, obviously it's Lupita, but like the whole time I was so immersed in the story that like my wife mentioned it after the fact, and she was like, "Yeah, that was Maz." I was like, "Wait a minute, whoa, what?"
Rewind.
Exactly.
I probably would have been in the same boat had I not. So like I've been wanting to watch Queen of Katwe on Netflix for the longest time. It's literally been on my list. I stare at it every day, but I'm like, I need to be in the zone whenever I watch it. I don't feel like going to bed and trying to turn it on.
Yeah.
And then like I follow her on Instagram too. So and she's been blowing up Instagram with it, and it's just like it's been amazing. Like she shares just like it seems personal stuff almost. Because it's like it's basically like her on Snapchat. Yeah. Like her Instagram stories are literally like her snapping a picture of Michael B. Jordan making a funny face, and I'm just like, I feel like I know this cast, and they're so fun, and I want to be there.
Yes, it was so cool. Like that was the thing is like the whole time I'm like, I want to be there. Like I want to be in that right now. Like that's how. And I've never really had a movie make me feel that way. Like it was almost like because I mean I saw it in IMAX 3D, but it was almost like an experience in and of itself. Of just okay, I'm in the film now.
I saw it in IMAX too, which I never see. Like I never get movies in IMAX because I'm just like, oh, I got to see that movie, and I buy whatever ticket pops up. And my friends and I were trying to coordinate, and they were like, well, there's an IMAX showing at this time, and I forgot how intense IMAX can be. Yeah, and we have a theater here that's like an RPX or something, and it's like the seats do stuff, and there's smells and lights and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, I need to see it in that.
That's awesome. I want to see it in that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, we're never going to need that ride at theme parks because it'll be a movie theater soon.
There you go. You want to see and smell Black Panther? Here you go.
Yeah, here, pay $300 and sit down.
Want to know the smell of vibranium? Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
I'm going to have to see. I want to go see also tangent but I want to go see if they have Last Jedi there because if they could come up with a smell for crate, I'm about it. If it's salty, I don't care. I want to smell it.
Just something that would be awesome. That would be so killer. I want to talk real quick too about T'Challa and Shuri, their relationship, his little sister. Yeah, I love that so much.
Yes, they were so funny. Yes. I was like, you don't even need jokes. Like they didn't need jokes. They just picked at each other and it made you laugh. And I'm like, that's a sibling relationship. That's family. Like
and you believe the relationship. That was really cool. Is that it didn't feel forced or acted or anything like that. You believe that these two knew each other all their lives and grew up together and everything, which is really cool.
I just want to know, like, because do they go through stuff to like figure that out? Do they like hang out outside to test that? Or is it just like, yep, here, act, go. Like,
And
act
do
like
it.
the brother and sister. Yeah, because I know like some actors go through that where they like test themselves and they want to make their regular, like, I mean, okay, really, really aggressive version of it, but like Heath Ledger with his Joker. Like some people go to that extent to
Right.
figure out their role. And I'm like, you might not need something like that for a brother-sister relationship, but did they try? Like, did they try to act like that outside of it?
Right. Yeah.
At least get to know each other better. So
I think that'd be really cool to find out too. I can't wait for the behind the scenes stuff to come out of this too, because you got to know that there's going to be some bloopers and some like little behind the scenes antics and stuff. Because like they just, I don't know, like all of these actors and actresses just seem like they always work together, like their entire life. It was just so cool, and just the caliber of acting with them is just amazing. But with Shuri now, now you're not too familiar with the Black Panther comics, correct? So one thing I thought was cool, and I wanted, like, I'd been waiting to nerd out with somebody about this, just because I'm like, you guys don't know, but no. So Shuri, you know how when in the challenge day scene where they're like, will anybody else challenge, and then all of a sudden she just raises her hand. In all honesty, I thought she was going to challenge him, because that happens in the comics much later. But yeah, she actually becomes Black Panther. Yeah.
oh my god, I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
but also how cool. Like,
Right. And she still has her hand cannons and everything too, which is great.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, because I loved her, because I was like, she's the witty little sister, but like she has her own power. Like, she's so smart, and he would have the power of the Black Panther, but he might just be in a suit if it weren't for her. Like, how do you measure something that strong, like that's important in their relationship?
Yeah, the whole time, like, I was like, are we really doing this that early? Like, this can't be happening. But yeah, the little kind of nod, like, even though it was her just making a joke, like, when she raised her hand, I was just kind of like, come on, hold on. But no, like, I thought that was a great nod to the comics. And then also M'Baku. Now, he was a character in the comics as well, a kind of uncomfortable portrayal of what he actually was in the comics, but he was a character named Manape, who kind of the same story, but it was a little I don't really know how to delicately say it, but anyways, but they did a really good job with him, I thought, in the movie versus that, because like as soon as he came on the screen, I was like, oh man, it's Manape, like what are they going to do with him and everything. And I loved how they never called him that. Like, he had this power to him, and like in all honesty, he was kind of one of my favorite characters.
He was great. I mean, honestly, because for me, when I first saw him, I was like, okay, cool. So this is a part of that tribe that they were telling that story coming up. Like, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be intense. Honestly, obviously, he was not gonna win. And
Right.
I feel bad thinking that, but I was like, not this early. Like, there's no way they're gonna just bump him out and be like, bye.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what was gonna happen after that. Because after he didn't win, I was thinking, okay, so he obviously didn't win, but is he gonna hold a grudge? Like, is this where the story's going? Because then where does Michael B. Jordan come in? Like, we know who our villains are, but now we've got this guy. And so I, like, knowing who he is in the comics is really beneficial, because I didn't know that, and so I would have been like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he would have been the straight up villain in the comics, which I thought was really cool that they didn't do that to his character. That he was a tribesman. He was the head of his tribe. He was a king in his own right. And that's what I loved about what they did with this character and everything, because, I mean, it wasn't throwaway. Like you said, like, it was almost like, okay, he challenged him. Is that it? But I loved their bout between each other, though, because, like, the way that it was, like, he technically almost won. Like, if he would have pushed it a little bit further and not yielded, T'Challa would have been over the falls. So and so, like, it was almost kind of a draw, and he was just like, you know what, I can't breathe right now, so we're just gonna drop it.
Tap out.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was, honestly, now that you say that, I didn't even think about it. If he would have just, like, done something a little extra, they both could have fallen, or
That's
if he
true.
would have won. Like, And I was thinking that when it was happening, I was like, oh, what if they both fall? Like, A, are they going to survive? Is it water down there, or are they both going to just die? And they can't just die, so obviously not. And I just, I mean, in all of those moments, there were multiple moments throughout this whole movie where me and my friend, it was all three of us, but one of them, she was exhausted, so she was just like really entertained, but not as intense as me and my other friend were. And we both went like this during the whole scene, and like our like knuckles turned white, and we're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind.
Well, and that, I like that too, because it almost made you feel like the movie was going to go a different way than the trailers were and everything. And so, it was coming out of the gate swinging too. So it was just kind of like, are we really getting to we're getting down to business? So okay, yeah. But I liked the whole, like, even developing in their relationship and everything, just this kind of mutual respect as it develops along and everything. Although my favorite part with M'Baku was when they go to him for help later and everything, and he's like, I'll feed you to my kids. Just kidding, we're vegetarians.
Me too.
Like, I died. Like, I was like, yes. That's amazing.
Yeah, we were sitting in the theater, and like this is kind of personal, like about my personal life, but like I went to school for agricultural communications, and so for me, I consistently, I don't want to say battled, like the vegetarian argument or anything like that, because I'm like, you do whatever you want. Like, I'm very like hands off when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care, but I'm gonna give you facts. Like, and so when he said that, my brain didn't even, like, I was just impressed with the fact that my brain didn't go to trying to argue it. It was like, that's hilarious.
Yes.
I'm so glad they pulled a joke like that in a movie that's like irrelevant about that, like out of nowhere, but it was so funny.
Well, and I think you mentioned it earlier too, like, none of the humor ever felt forced. Like, it all felt so fluid and natural and relevant in the moment and everything. Like, even down to Okoye, when they were in, I think it was Korea, when they were about to face off with Claw, the whole chase scene and all that kind of stuff, where she's wearing the wig, the whole thing with, and then Nikita's like, just whip it back and forth.
I also love, like little, I ripped my earphone out. I love like little coy things. When she, remind me of her name. Not Nakira.
Not Nikita, Okoye. Not Nakira, but Okoye.
Okoye, okay. Yeah. So when Okoye was saying that, like, she was wearing this stupid thing or something, I also loved jokes like that I was like, it's a joke, but it's relevant to like them speaking about African culture.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome, because everybody's going to laugh at it. It's not something that's going to be taken offensively. It's going to be hilarious to everyone.
Yeah.
We all get it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. That was my favorite part about humor. I was like, it's relevant. It's not offensive. It's natural. It just comes so naturally. And like, it's stuff that I've heard my friends joke about. And I'm like, it's awesome. Got it.
Definitely. So actually changing gears a little bit. So I wanted to talk about the visions in the ancestral plane. That whole thing with the where he went and saw his father and all that kind of stuff. One thing that I thought was peculiar, which I was kind of theorizing that it had something to do with the Soul Stone, but the director has already thrown that out, unfortunately. One thing I thought was really peculiar was that Killmonger saw something different.
Yes.
That it wasn't always the Panther plane kind of thing. Like, it's almost like he saw what he knew. What did you think about that?
I definitely think that it was very weird how my whole brain just blanked.
Happens to me often.
How like Michael B saw, I guess, not even just what he knew, but also like a different age of himself. Whereas, Jesus, I want to just call him Black Panther.
T'Challa?
What is his T'Challa.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I blinking? And my notes are right here. Okay. How T'Challa saw, like, he was there and saw his dad and spoke with his dad. And how Michael B also did that, but he also, like, it was almost like a flashback, but a dream, and it was just multiple things at once. And I was like, this is weird. Like, why is he having it separate? And I'm wondering if maybe it was because he doesn't know how to handle that moment. Like for T'Challa, he grew up with that tradition. He kind of grew up, maybe not knowing what happens on the ancestral plane, but like knowing that it exists, being trained to be Black Panther,
Having an idea of it, yeah.
yeah, having just like a general knowledge of how things work there. And I'm wondering if Michael B just was like, I'm going in, and whatever magic occurs in that moment, he went in, but also flashed back after he got there. Like after he realized I'm in this ancestral plane, like what am I doing? Now I'm remembering, and then throwing in a memory / conversation.
Yeah, it's almost like whatever he knew, like basically, because that was more or less. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a moment because it's not something that happened, but that's what he always held on to. Because I mean, if you think about it, like he never left being that child. That he's always been stuck in that because he's always held that grudge. He's always been bent on revenge no matter what he's done. And like he told T'Challa, I killed all these people so that I could have a chance to kill you. Like I mean, this dude's. I mean, he's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, why? Like I get like that. I like the way you worded that. Of he's always been that child, and like for me, I want to know why. I mean, I guess because he's the villain. So, and I think my bigger urge, and maybe the comics would have helped, or maybe just kind of knowing a little bit more about them. But for me, I'm wondering why the conversation didn't go more into depth. It was like way more riddle-y than it maybe needed to be, or it was meant to be that way so that he would have to figure it out. But my thoughts are, and like obviously not every bad guy has to turn good. That would ruin it sometimes. Like sometimes they're just bad people.
Right.
But I'm like, he's family with them. Like, why didn't his dad push that more? Like, what about it made that conversation stay that way? Or like, because how did it end? Did he come out of it too soon? Or like he came out of it before it like officially ended?
Well,
or like
he came out of it before he was ready to go. Because like with T'Challa, it's like every single time he went in, it was he decided when it was done. Because he had the conversation the first time saying that he wasn't ready to let his father go. The second time it was that he was in that coma, and he was like, "I'm not staying. You're out of your mind." And so it was kind of, to me, I kind of interpreted it as that, where Killmonger was more so wanting to stay in that moment to talk with his dad. He hadn't let go, and then therefore it seemed as if he were ripped out of it. Whereas T'Challa knew it's time.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. That makes me more comfortable with the whole thing.
Yeah, because and that's the thing is like what you said about Killmonger's vision and everything, how it was kind of like cryptic and riddled almost. Like it's almost as if like it's all. I mean, obviously everything he was doing was driven by revenge, driven by that emotion of just pure pain and everything. And so I wonder if that's what affected his vision. That he saw in the, well, I guess it's not technically the ancestral plane, but whatever that actually is, kind of making it more erratic. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That would definitely be something that would be fun to dive into.
Yeah, and I also wonder. I know that his dad was Wakandan, and I know that he died at the hand of a Black Panther. And he's still from the Wakandan lineage. So is the ancestral plane that T'Challa went to only for Black Panthers? Or is it for... Because it looked like it is.
Yeah.
In his second time, it was just only Black Panthers, and then you saw their human form. But is there an ancestral plane where there's all people?
That's
or
interesting.
all Wakandans?
Yeah.
And like, do people ever see that or is it until you pass into the ancestral plane that you don't see everybody? That makes
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, because I didn't think about it like if it were like I guess normal people or whatnot. Right. Because I mean before just to reference it, because I know I've referenced it a couple of times. Like director Ryan Coogler actually talked to someone in an interview about the Soul Stone, saying that they already had one big MacGuffin being the vibranium. They didn't want to muddy it up with an Infinity Stone. My theory through the whole thing was that it was, even though the vibranium came down, it was almost like it was carrying something, because like it said at the beginning of the movie, it was affecting the plant life and stuff like that. But I feel like there's got to be more to that ancestral plane. Like, I mean, it's either sheer hallucinogen or it's got some kind of like connection to, because like I mean to me that would have been the perfect time to introduce the Soul Stone, or even just name drop it, or well there was a stone that came down with it or whatnot, or maybe it's that they don't even know it.
Mention of it of some sort, like once it's embedded in like the mountain that is Wakanda, like it created the ancestral plane or something like that.
Because I was actually having that conversation with my wife where, like, so, you know, every gem, I mean, kind of veering off Black Panther for a second, but every one of the Infinity Stones has had almost kind of a different texture. You had your Tesseract, you had the Ether that was liquid, the Power Stone, you had the Time Stone. Every one of them had to be contained differently. So what if the Soul Stone was more delicate than that? So it was like, that would allow him to be able to see his ancestors that he didn't know, because that was what kind of bugged me out. Was, I get that you saw your dad, but why are you seeing all these other people?
Right, why are all the other Black Panthers staring at you while you're talking to your dad?
It's like, how did you know them or something? Because I mean, like, that had to have been hundreds of years a piece at least. So I mean,
at least.
So that's what kind of got me. It was like, I don't know. I feel like there's still more to that, even though he's coming out saying, no, there's not a Soul Stone. Cool, but we'll see it in Infinity War, because Thanos is coming for Wakanda for some reason. Yes.
Another tangent. So excited. Also, isn't his? I'm sorry.
You're good.
Isn't his grandfather would have had to have been a Black Panther, right? Or like, not, I guess not had to, but like, wouldn't all of those people at some point have been his family? Like, why aren't they more like,
right?
This, like, or your dad is a liar, like anything else. And I get like all these conversations that would have had to happen like on that individual level with him and stuff. And I get that his dad is just like, his dad and him are just a whole nother story within a story. But just like his family, like, because does T'Chaka's dad support his decision? Have they had that conversation in the ancestral plane? And I'm just like getting really deep into
that's
it.
cool.
Like, all of that, I'm like, these are all your family. Like, they're not even just Black Panthers. Like, you're related to them.
Exactly. They're not strangers. These are people that you know. And so, like, exactly, just chilling. Like, cool. I'm just here to watch.
Gonna let it happen.
So no, I like that. That's really cool. I didn't think about that, because technically they would all have to be related, because it's the full lineage of that one family. That's ruled over them and everything, and they've all been Black Panthers because they've all been kings. So
and it's like, I get like sometimes, because even like in regular monarchy, like at some point like a different family might happen, but still, like, at least you know that I think we've been told like that at least his grandfather was definitely Black Panther.
Absolutely.
So like, we know that it at least goes that far back. So where was your grandfather when your dad was being insane and you were confused? Like,
right. When he decided to omit that truth. No, I'm right there with you. So I'm trying to see. So going from that, I really liked the debates that were brought up in it. Now I don't want to get political or anything like that. I definitely want to talk the movie, but at the same time, like, I really thought it was interesting how the movie presented different debates or different things that are going on in the world. Like, at one point you had T'Challa and Nakia talking about refugees versus giving aid and things like that, and you got his side, you got what's his name, Wakabi's side, and then Nakia's side and everything like that, and it was all presented in a way where it was like, I know somebody like that, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard those before and everything, but it was cool. I don't know, like, to me it was just fascinating to see it play out.
I agree, because I even have it in my notes. I like put things like in quotations, like politically, the things that stood out to me. I just was very, so first let me just tell you a moment that happened. Like, so we were in the theater and that line happened, and it was like, I don't remember it word for word, but it was basically, refugees don't need to come here because when they come here they bring their problems. I remember that.
Lose our way of life.
And so I was just very like, I didn't hear it. My friend I was just very like, oh, the whole movie.
Yeah.
So words were going into my head, but I don't know if I registered any of them. And my friend, she's like, when it like kind of paused, she said, "Did you hear everybody gasp?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "No," but apparently, and like these are her words, but apparently, the whole like she said everything kind of felt still, and everybody went, "Oh."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, like I'm gonna have to go back in the theater and watch it again while it's still opening weekend so that I
Right.
can see people's first reactions, because that stuff amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
Also random Star Wars thing, but like yeah, like with The Last Jedi, like that was my favorite thing, was people's
Right.
first reactions opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I do love that they incorporated it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's necessary at some point, regardless of people's beliefs or sides
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it may be. It's something that if I feel like we have to, when as moviegoers, we have to take a step back when stuff like that is put into a movie,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more than likely not the people creating it ideals, because they know that they're creating a movie for a span of people. They're not creating that movie for themselves, so they're
Right.
putting it in there because they think it will fit well with the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're paid to do, is to create the story and to make it something interesting for people, and to create stuff like this where we can talk about it. Like,
Right.
because without people talking about it, nobody's going to go see the movie ever again, and like all this other stuff. And I mean, I guess that kind of just sums up how I feel. Like, I think it's necessary, and I think that they did it well.
Mm-hmm.
With
and then they did it well too, in a way that it didn't feel like it was a pressed belief.
Right.
It was almost like presented and left. Like that's all it was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously Wakanda came to a decision of some kind, but it wasn't this, hey, you should do this because it's this and everything. There was nothing
Yeah.
like that. It was more of just, here's both sides, make of it what you will. And I felt like that, and then the same thing with the first conversation between T'Challa and Killmonger, where he was talking about how he grew up on the streets and that he's seen all his life people taking from him and taking from his people and everything, and that it's time to take from them and everything. And T'Challa at one point says that you're becoming those that you hate. You're just doing the same thing and continuing the cycle. But I liked the way that was presented as well, because I mean obviously we live in a world of infinite issues, and none too small, and I mean, and like I said, not to get too far into any of this stuff, but like I felt like you were saying, like it wasn't necessarily to push any kind of agenda or anything like that. It was literally presenting of both sides, because one thing that I feel like is missed a lot of times is that we don't listen to each other.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Completely. I'm like, the issues may or may not be solvable. Majority of them are probably solvable if we would listen to each other. It's not going to get fixed in a day. And like, I think that's what kills people, is that they're just like, I need it now. And I'm like, you can have it now with your technology and with your money that you want to go buy things with. You can have it now you can have it now in a multitude of ways. But for a serious issue, why are you pressing for it to change right now? Like, for specific things, I could see, like, the need for it immediately. But it's like, if you want it immediately, you have to tell the people in power, I want it immediately, and then they will figure out a way to expedite that. But for them, without us doing anything, without general population doing anything, they're going to figure out what's important to them. And not a lot of things are important to them but money. And it's just like, it's a vicious cycle in real life. And I think that's even more into it. It's without bringing up the issues, bringing up a vicious cycle for Michael B. and T'Challa. I can't, Michael B.'s name, just like
Killmonger.
Killmonger,
Yeah.
T'Challa, like talking about the fact that he's like, you're becoming what you hate, and creating this whole vicious cycle of what he didn't want to do in the first place. Like, to me, I'm just like, that speaks more words than even making little lines at real things.
Absolutely.
Because that's all we do, is when real things happen, we create some sort of cycle and something goes crazy, and then we keep, history repeats itself, is one of my favorite, like, I don't want to say quotes, but my favorite ideal in general. I'm like, you have to take a step back and realize that history will repeat itself if we don't do anything about it. Like,
right. Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I love that it's a comic book movie that starts these conversations. But even realistically, I mean, comics have been doing this for decades. I mean, the X-Men were born out of that. So I mean, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool to me that's a lot of times that's where people get their information as far as things goes like that. But I just really thought that the way that both of those things were presented was extremely respectful and just well done. Like, if there's anything that I can just praise over and over again about this movie, it was so well written. Like, so well written.
Yes, so good. It was awesome. It was well written. It was beautifully shot. It was amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think, and like, just, I don't know if you have it for later on, but like another thing, and again, like avoiding getting political, but also throwing it out there. My favorite quote, which I don't have the exact words are, is when times are tough, wise men build bridges and fools put up walls. And I was like,
yes.
I was just so like, yep. Like that was one of my favorite reactions from the theater. They were like, oh. And I was like,
my theater as well.
I was like, dang.
There were so many moments, like, and that's why I love seeing an opening weekend, is because like that's the passionate people. That's the ones who are like have been waiting for this for months, who can't wait to see it. Like, they are going the second that it opens. That's the only time like you get the applause and the reactions and everything. And so I mean, obviously I'm gonna see it like 50 more times. But I mean,
I'll probably go see it on my day off. So
absolutely, yeah. And so like I that's what I love so much about the opening nights and stuff like that. And that was not missed at all in my theater. Like, it was awesome. You had the cheering, you had the yelling at the screen. Like, I mean, like it was everything. It was great. So yeah. And I love seeing just the enthusiasm and excitement of everybody who did come out for it and everything. Like, it was just that made it even more enjoyable to watch as a movie. Like, I feel like when fans, I mean, like you said, whether you've ever seen a comic book movie before or you're just like, hey, you know what, this one looks cool, let me jump in. Because I mean, you can always tell the ones who don't always watch the Marvel movies because they get up early and they leave before the end credits. And it's like, guys, what are you doing? Come on.
I'm like, and don't you notice other people are sitting here still? Like, I know that some people are just lazy and don't want to move yet, but still. Like,
well, and then well, and then on top of that, like, as soon as the first end credit scene was done, where he was like, well, we're opening, basically going to share information, we're coming out to the world, and then a bunch of people left, and I was like, we're not done. Like, until you see that screen stop, we are not done. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I really hope that Black Panther gets a trilogy of some kind. I don't know if they've announced that or not at all, because I know initially with Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, it was, they're getting trilogies. Like, we knew that up front. With all these new heroes, the only one I think we know of a sequel, well, two of them of a sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then you've got Spider-Man 2 that they're going to do.
I was going to say Spider-Man's the other.
Yeah. Okay. Which, I mean, Spider-Man's kind of a given. Like, of course they're going to do another one.
For every Spider-Man you hire.
Exactly. You have to have at least 3 for all. You got to beat Tobey Maguire's, though, of 4. But other than that, like, they really haven't announced a whole lot of sequels, because, like, there's not really, it's not that there's not plans for the universe going forward, but it's almost like they would give it away if they release too much, because Infinity War is going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
That's going to change a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's definitely got to be a second one, at least. Like, there's, like, minimum there's a second one of the outreach, of, like, the change in Wakandan lifestyle, I guess. I mean, after that, I don't see anything else happening, but that's just me based off, like, my moviegoer one-time view of Black Panther. But because we had him in snippets in, like, what, Civil War and...
Just Civil War.
Just Civil War? Okay. Yeah, okay.
And he pretty much stole the show.
And I was like, it's awesome. And then now we have this. So, I mean, unless they were to go, like, a prequel route after 2, and then they were like, okay, now we're going to show you what he looked like as a child. Like,
Well, and I mean that's the thing is like Black Panther's big villain has always been Ulysses Claw, and now Ulysses Claw is no more. Yeah, so I was just kind of like, okay, well, there's that. So,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and even now Killmonger's gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
Somebody's coming from somewhere. But
Yeah.
also, random note,
Mhm.
I loved, what is his name? Martin? Watson from
Martin Freeman. Yeah.
Yes. I loved him and his whole, the king of a third world country is running around in a bulletproof catsuit.
Yes.
Again, I was like, yeah, yes.
He did great. I loved everything he did, down to like, and I really loved the part where, I mean, like you remember when he was shot and everything, they're bringing him in on a stretcher, and Shuri's like, "You brought me another broken white boy," and I was like, "Yeah, that's deserved." I thought that was great though, and then just their whole, him and Shuri, their whole kind of dynamic and everything was just really cool because like at first like you can tell she didn't really care too much for him, but then she ended up actually looking out for him, helping him out and everything, and he ended up being his own hero, which was really cool. So his little arc and everything alongside Shuri I thought was really cool. I don't know much of what he does in the comics. I know he's a liaison to Wakanda. Other than that, I have no idea. So yeah.
Okay. Do you know if in the comics, if he like, he figures out what real Wakanda is, right?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't think, okay. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's after Wakanda has kind of revealed itself to the world. He is, I want to say it's the United Nations liaison to Wakanda, either United Nations or United States. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, he becomes the liaison, kind of like the ambassador to Wakanda kind of deal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Makes more sense now.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of a promotion. Yeah, but in talking about, you said Killmonger, about him dying and everything, I really loved how they handled that. Now I've heard probably not long from the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the whole they have a villain problem because every villain dies at the end and everything, which I mean you can't do the same as a comic or a TV show where the villains keep coming back.
Right.
So I kind of understand it. In Spider-Man, he saved the Vulture and he's imprisoned instead of dead, which is really good because he's a kid, Peter Parker. So I mean, it'd be a little heavy for basically a kid to kill his first villain. But I like that Black Panther gave him a chance. He's like, look, we can still save you. And then the last line of, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but basically taking it from his ancestors that it's better to welcome death than to be in bondage, and everything. And like, I remember the theater was just silent at that point. Like you could feel the heaviness and everything. But the fact that he still embraced his heritage and embraced who he was, and in all honesty, it kind of felt like a moment of forgiveness kind of deal, where he was just like, I may not have been right, but I'm not going to be chained up or put in prison or anything like that. I'm just going to take it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like, and yeah, my moment with that was, I'm glad that he offered to save him, but I'm like, but also, why wouldn't you, if you were willing to save him, wouldn't you be willing to reform him? Because for me, and I'm still, and I don't know if it's like the girl in me of wanting to like save everybody, like re-reform the villain and be like, you're really a good guy, it'll be okay.
You probably love Loki, don't you? No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, he's great. I'm like, Loki's a great guy. He's fine. I think it was more of, okay, you're willing to save his life. He's your cousin. He's not just like another Wakandan that happened to get mad. He's your cousin. You feel guilty for your father's issue. And you said lines to him that were trying to change his mind, but you never pushed. You didn't. And sometimes that's the thing, is sometimes you don't want to push. And that makes total sense. But I'm like, there are times, and I think it's here in my notes, but it's like, okay, T'Challa could have told Killmonger not to hold anything against him and his people because they were not the people that did it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even know that his dad had done this until Killmonger revealed himself.
Mm-hmm.
So my thoughts are, I'm like, if you would have had that conversation, how would it have gone? Killmonger was a little pissed about everything.
A little bit.
So, yeah, so the likelihood of changing his mind was not high. But I'm like, you never actually blatantly said, this wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want this to happen to you. He thinks that you just didn't care that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But like when people know that you care, like it changes something.
True.
Like, and I don't know how I don't write superhero movies. But I'm like, he would have chosen to die anyways because that's his character and that's what should happen. Like I think that like you're right, like that heaviness, like that is necessary, especially in that moment and like this movie as a whole. So, but I always also am always curious about stuff like that. I'm like, how would that have changed that moment at all?
Mm-hmm. Well, and T'Challa had a similar conversation with M'Baku when he was asking him to help. And he was like, you keep speaking of we've never been a we. And everything. He's like, we're not our fathers.
Yes.
He's like, I can't speak for past kings, but I know the here and now. And obviously it moved M'Baku somehow because, I mean, he ended up coming to help. But like Black Panther to me, he's always kind of like, especially in Civil War, the moment that I kind of think of is, I can't remember the villain's name. Baron, I can't believe I'm forgetting this right now. But anyways,
in so long.
I know, right? It's been a minute. But the guy who was orchestrating everything, turning everybody against each other and all that kind of stuff, like he goes to shoot himself because he's like, oh well, I'm done and everything. And then that's when Black Panther swoops in and he's like, no, the living are not done with you yet. And I love that because it was almost like he was respecting Killmonger's decision of that. Right. So it was like, I'm going to present to you this. And I don't know, personally, I didn't feel like he needed to push anymore because, I don't know, the weight of T'Challa's voice and the way he speaks, like, I'll listen to anything. Like, I'm just like, yes, sir. Just because I'm just like, just the way he carries himself and when he speaks, it's deliberate. It's powerful. And so I feel like when he presented what he could to Killmonger, he knew that there was not going to be a future there.
Yeah, there was an end deal.
Yeah, it was definitely not going to end with either one of them walking away. Only one was going to walk away. But I love the bit of mercy that he gave him when Killmonger was like, oh yeah, well, my dad always talked about how beautiful it was. He goes, I don't see what it was all about. And then he drags him up to the top and he sees it, and it's almost like at that point Killmonger realizes what he's done, and he's not gonna. I mean, he's obviously too proud to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry" or whatever. I don't think he was necessarily apologetic, but at the same time, it was almost like a mutual respect between the two, is what it felt like. Yeah,
and I think that was the moment. I think that was the one time that I teared up. Maybe I was the same. I'm pretty sure I teared up multiple times throughout, but. Yeah, whenever he saw it and you just see the look on his face and you're like, okay, part of that is death.
Yeah.
But the other part is like, he's like, oh crap. Like, this is really beautiful. I really mucked this up. I should figure something out.
Exactly.
And it's like, and then that next step of T'Challa offering him that and then he being like, actually, I'm not about it. Like the sunset's really pretty, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. Stay locked up forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you could have this, and he was like, you know what? No, it's too far. I've gone too far. So I thought that was cool that it wasn't just a straight kill the villain and it's done. Like there was a moment where Black Panther was like, you can be redeemed. You can start over. You can do this and everything, which is how I interpreted it. But I thought that ending for him was done very, very well. Yeah. So,
yeah. This is totally off topic. I mean, not off topic, but like offhanded. I would love to see them fight together, though.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm like back-to-back Panthers. Yes.
Yeah. No, that would be crazy. Like that would be unstoppable. I mean, oh man.
hard. It'd be awesome.
Just give us like a what if universe kind of thing.
Yeah, fine. Or like
little one shot.
Yeah, just like give me a video of those two like messing around.
Exactly.
I don't even care. Like I just want to see them beating stuff up together.
There you go. But yeah, no, that was awesome. I am excited to see kind of where this outreach and everything like that goes from there. Because I mean, naturally, if Wakanda is sharing their science and their information and stuff like that, like he had said, I mean, it's going to impact the world fairly seriously, positively and negatively, possibly. So that would be interesting. But at the same time, I'm like, well, it's good that they're sharing their Wakandan secrets now because Thanos is coming. So good timing.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah. So I'm definitely excited to see what's next as far as this goes and everything. Definitely want to see more of T'Challa. I honestly think that he's probably going to replace Tony on the team. As far as because I don't think Tony and Steve are gonna last. I think that's it. Because Steve has Bucky, and I mean we've seen Steve with Bucky. He doesn't act rationally in any sense of the word. And then Tony. Yeah.
Your best friend, like he was your rationale.
Exactly.
Like figure your life out.
Exactly. And then you have Tony with Peter, who he feels personally responsible for the kid. So yeah, that's
protect him at all costs. Like
exactly. Yeah. So I think that they're gonna end up sacrificing themselves for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be okay. Because to me, I'm like, not only is that societally. Not only does that speak to our society's bounds of having somebody of color in leadership, but also like he has the technology, so it wouldn't be like off-worldly to think that he could take a leadership place because that leadership place belonged to somebody with technology and strength, and he has both of those.
Oh, absolutely.
And rationale.
And the unlimited funds. That kind of helps a little.
Exactly.
You get a vibranium suit, and you get a vibranium suit.
Yes. All the vibranium things.
So, yeah. So, was there anything else you wanted to cover on Black Panther before we close it out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm, like, looking at my notes right now. Just, like, random note, but, like, Michael B. Jordan is the villain that I did not know I needed.
Absolutely.
Yes! Do it! I love him and everything.
Oh, yeah.
No, honestly, that's awesome.
No, I agree with you, too. It's almost like the MCU is where the failed Marvel characters come to redeem themselves. I was the Human Torch, too. So, I mean...
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Everyone tries to forget about that. Nobody wants to remember the giant chicken nugget that's the thing, so... I
was so into it, though. Like, I remember remember, like, watching that the first time and being like, yes, cool.
I got about, I think, halfway into it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what in the world?
What's going on?
Yeah.
I was excited, and now you ruined it. Like,
yeah, and then the thing got a kill streak. Like, what? But anyways. So, yeah. But no, Michael B. Jordan, you have redeemed yourself, sir. Welcome to the MCU. However temporarily that was. So, yeah. So, cool. So, yeah. So, I mean, as far as Black Panther, I mean, obviously, we loved it. I mean, I don't think there's a question of that for sure. Definitely looking forward to see... what else is coming from the MCU? Infinity War, obviously. I am both ready and not ready simultaneously.
I'm nervous.
Yes, that's gonna hurt for sure. So yeah, so maybe we'll do another one of these once that one comes around. That'll be really exciting too. So yeah, so cool. So Cheyenne, now that we're closing out the show, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jerica Training Academy. Find it in his description below because it's really hard to spell. If you want to follow my personal account, it's at CJerica, which he can also link below. But honestly, other than that, I'm just on Instagram. I might figure out Twitter one day, but that's about it right now.
And she does some cool articles from time to time, too, that are really neat. So, yeah, so definitely check those out. I think the link is in your bio, correct?
I was going to say, yeah, my blog link is in my bio. So I do a Star Wars Sunday, the second Sunday of every month. And then other than that, it's more like personal life stuff. not so personal, but usually like advice and stuff. So for whatever you're going through, I probably have been through it too.
It's pretty cool, guys. So definitely check that out. And be sure to check us out at Kessel Run Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on our website, KesselRunWeekly.com. And look out for more episodes from us. We're in the middle of Rebel season, which is really exciting and both heartbreaking. So I think we're in that limbo with everything right now. So very exciting. So look out for those Rebels reviews and everything. Where we can kind of, be your support group. Because from what I understand, we're going to need it. So yeah, guys. So thank you for watching our special episode of Kessel Run Weekly. And thank you, Cheyenne, for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
Of course. It was awesome. This is great.
Cool. So until next time, guys, my name is Danny.
And I'm Cheyenne.
And Wakanda forever.